Secret Sense Suppers was a commission for the London Design Festival. They were looking at a series of nights that looked at the relationship between the senses and food. So we were asked if we would do the night that covered sound and food. The final results were, it was a mix of like sound design and music. For the starter, it was a really interesting piece because we wanted it to be very music based and be, I guess, quite passive because it was the start of the meal. We didn't want to kind of just chuck people in at the deep end, so we kept it quite passive. It was about a performance, so we basically went down and filmed the chef preparing the starter. And then came back to the studio and basically wrote a bit of music based on his movement and kind of like how he prepared it, which was quite an interesting like concept. So we had like 8 bars of him sharpening knives and 8 bars of him chopping carrots, and we kind of decided that we would try and mimic that. So we would have the violins kind of being quite choppy when he was chopping, and then like more kind of smooth when he was then bringing it all together at the end. And it was a really interesting way because it's very different to a lot of other work we do, but it was really fun, and kind of going back down to the kitchen and basically rehearsing with the chef, playing the music again and again, and he would then rehearse to it. And then on the night, basically, he was sat in front of the guests, but also surrounded by a string quartet, so he became almost like the 5th member of this music ensemble. And the idea was that as he kind of finished preparing the starter, the track finished and the guests were served the food. It was almost a bit of an experiment to see how people would react. So we really wanted to be in the room, but the venue was a Masonic temple that they'd actually just found. They'd been converting the Andaz Hotel in Liverpool Street and had knocked down a brick wall, not expecting anything behind it, and actually there was like this Masonic temple. So they basically decided to kind of keep it as it was and then use it as an event space. So that was the kind of space, but it was quite restricted in terms of the kind of area around it. So we basically had to hide in a cupboard behind this kind of black sheet to watch people as they kind of experienced the kind of installation. But it was really interesting because there was some things we thought would happen that did, but then other things that didn't. And I think one of the key moments was when, after the main course, it was obviously people had had a few drinks, it was very lively and everybody was getting to know each other. We then brought the headphones out for the dessert course, which was all about this personal experience, and all of a sudden the room just went dead. And it was just really interesting, kind of just changing people's states like in a moment. I guess the most challenging part of the project was coming up with something that would be fun and interesting as an experience and didn't feel too throwaway. For the dessert course, we came up with this soundscape idea that people would kind of listen to in headphones, but the theme was synesthesia, and we'd kind of done a bit of research and found that obviously synesthesia is the normal condition, is where people, when they see certain words, kind of see colours, but there's a rare form where when they see certain words, they taste. So if they see college, they taste sausage, or if they see Cincinnati, they taste cinnamon. So we came up with this idea that we'd kind of basically use that study and put it into our soundscape, so it was almost like a kind of talking point and something to think about as people kind of ate their kind of dessert. And I guess that was the thing, we were trying to come up with a few things like that had a lasting impression on people as they left. I think at the end we basically came out of the we were kind of like, the cupboard was open so like people could then see where we were, and then we basically had drinks with everybody afterwards, and I think it was just like talking to people and understanding, like they all had slightly different kind of like journeys through the experience, and we've spoken about, like basically taking this experience and kind of translating it into a new venue and maybe trying slightly different things. And I think it's always really nice to hear firsthand how people experience stuff, and that's I think why we're drawn to the kind of live work we do, because it just means that you can really get a sense of what people are kind of feeling about something, and it could be one person in a gallery with headphones, or it could be 80,000 people at Glastonbury. So it's kind of really interesting to just get that different kind of like reaction and see how people have responded.